Title: She said she was an undercover cop. Then 4 others appeared. The encounter. Halloween night, 2023. A quiet Midwestern suburb, clean lawns, pumpkin lights, the faint sound of children laughing somewhere down the street. For one man, that night would end with a sentence he still can't forget. If you didn't have that gun, this night would have ended a lot different for you. The witness is Eli Turner, 22 years old, a youth coordinator and community volunteer. He wasn't the type to believe in ghost stories, but he was about to live one. Earlier that evening, Eli was closing up after a fall festival when his sister Savannah called. Her son, Benji, was begging to go trick-or-treating, but she didn't want to take him out alone after dark. Eli agreed to tag along, one last good memory before heading home. It was cold that night, the kind of cold where breath hangs like smoke and every sound carries. They started down Maple Drive, a quiet stretch of middle-class homes, kids running door to door in cheap plastic masks. Everything was normal, until Eli noticed the man. Across the street, under a flickering streetlight, stood a figure, tall, motionless, dressed head to toe in black. No costume, no flashlight, not even a pumpkin bucket. Just watching. At first, Eli thought maybe it was a parent waiting for their kid. But 5 minutes passed. Then 10. The figure never moved. Never looked away. "Let's go to the next street," Eli said quietly. "Don't stare. Just walk." Savannah glanced once over her shoulder. "Eli, he's still looking at us." They turned the corner. The air felt heavier, like the world had gone quiet. Even Benji noticed. "Uncle Eli, that man's weird." As they neared their car parked by the curb, a sound broke the silence. Footsteps. Heavy. Slow. Boots against concrete. Eli turned. The figure was following them, still in black, but closer now, maybe 30 feet away. The dim light revealed more detail. A tactical vest, combat boots, gloves, and what looked like a black spandex mask covering their entire face. This wasn't a Halloween costume. This was gear. Real gear. "Savannah, get Benji in the car," Eli whispered. "Now." They moved quickly. The footsteps grew faster. When they reached the car, Eli spun around and drew the small Glock he kept legally for protection. His voice was steady. "Stop right there. Who are you?" The figure froze. For a long, unbearable second, silence. Then, slowly, the person raised their hands and pulled off the mask. It was a woman, mid-30s, pale skin, expression flat as stone. She spoke in a monotone voice. "I'm an undercover police officer. There was a break-in reported in the area. You fit the description." The explanation made no sense. No badge. No police vehicle nearby. No radio. Eli's instincts screamed this isn't right. "If you're a cop," he said, "show me your ID." The woman tilted her head, like she was confused by the question. Then she smiled, barely. "You shouldn't point that at me, Eli." She knew his name. Eli's stomach dropped. He hadn't said his name. She couldn't have known. "How do you know who I am?" he asked. The woman's eyes didn't move, didn't blink. Then, in a low, deliberate tone, she said, "If you didn't have that gun, this night would have ended a lot different for you." And then, from between the houses behind her, 4 more figures stepped out. All in the same black clothing. Same gloves. Same motionless stance. No words. No movement. Just the sound of boots shifting on gravel. Eli shoved his sister and nephew into the car, slammed the door, and floored the accelerator. As they sped off, he looked in the rearview mirror and saw the woman standing perfectly still in the middle of the road, smiling. The investigation. The next morning, Eli Turner walked into the Lincoln County Police Department with shaky hands and dark circles under his eyes. He'd barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the woman's smile, calm, deliberate, and wrong in every possible way. He told the officers everything. The cloaked woman. The 4 figures that appeared behind her. The words she said. But when the report was filed, something about the way the officers looked at him made him realize. They didn't believe him. One of them, a tired-looking sergeant, finally said, "Son, it's Halloween. People wear strange stuff. Maybe it was a prank." Eli wanted to believe that. He needed to believe that. But pranks don't follow you home. That afternoon, while trying to calm down, Eli checked his phone. A new text message. Unknown number. No words, just a single photo. It was his car, parked outside his apartment building. The photo had been taken at 2:43 a.m., just hours after he'd gotten home. He felt the world drop out from under him. He looked out his window, no one there. Still, he called the police again, showed them the message. They took a statement, but no action was taken. Could be a prank, the officer said again. Could be a neighbor messing around. But Eli knew better. He had locked the doors. He had checked the lot himself. Whoever took that photo had been right outside his home. Soft hum intensifies slightly, background static crackles. Over the next few days, Eli couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. His phone battery drained faster than usual. His internet connection lagged for no reason. Then, one evening, while checking his car, he noticed something strange. The front-facing security camera near the parking area had been tilted slightly away. Not broken, just turned. Someone had done it intentionally. He started to suspect he was being tracked, not just watched. Cut to a low thrum, slow camera pan through dark apartment interior. Desperate for answers, Eli went back to Maple Drive, to the street where it all happened. He walked up to the house where the woman had first appeared. The porch light was on this time. A man in his 40s answered the door, confused. Eli explained what had happened, carefully, leaving out the gun part. The man blinked, clearly disturbed. "Nobody lives next door," he said. "That house has been empty since last spring." Eli frowned. "You sure? Because that's where she came from. I saw her walk right out of there." The man shook his head. "No, nobody's there." "But you're not the first to ask." Eli froze. "What do you mean?" "Last year, some teenagers came by," the man said. "They said a woman in black chased them down this same street. Said she kept asking if they lived here. They thought it was some local nut, but..." He trailed off. Eli could see the fear in his eyes. Something about this wasn't random. It was repeating. That night, Eli decided to install his own cameras. One by the window, one by the front door. He checked them twice before bed. Everything looked normal. Until the next morning. When he reviewed the footage, the door camera had glitched at 3:02 a.m., 3 minutes of static, then silence. When the image returned, the front yard lights were off. And for a split second, just one frame, there was a shadow in the corner. A figure. Standing perfectly still. Slow fade out. The hum lowers to silence. Narrator, quietly. It wasn't the first night they returned. And it wouldn't be the last. The return. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. No messages. No sightings. No strange noises outside his apartment. Eli began convincing himself it had all been some elaborate prank, maybe a sick Halloween scare gone too far. But then, on November 17th, everything started again. That night, around 3 a.m., Eli's phone buzzed with a motion alert from his new Ring camera. He almost ignored it. He was half asleep, but something about the timestamp made him pause. 3:02 a.m. The same time his last footage had glitched. He opened the app. The feed showed his front door. The porch light was off. But there, just barely visible at the edge of the light, stood a figure. Motionless. Facing not the door, but the camera itself. Eli sat up, staring at the screen. The figure didn't move. Didn't knock. Just stood there. Then static. The footage glitched for half a second. When it returned, the figure was gone. He replayed the clip 3 times, frame by frame. It wasn't a costume. It wasn't a prank. The person was wearing the same black cloak, the same gloves, the same stance. He called the police. They came, checked the area, found nothing. But when the officer reviewed the clip, he noticed something Eli hadn't seen. In the reflection of the car's rear window, faintly illuminated by a streetlight, were 4 other silhouettes. All standing in a line. All facing forward. Watching. Soft, cold breath sound effect. Low rumble builds. Narrator. For the next week, Eli barely left the house. He kept every light on, every curtain closed. He slept with his gun nearby, though he hoped he'd never have to use it again. Then, just when things seemed to settle, he got another text. Same unknown number. This time, no image, just a sentence. Don't worry, we're done here. He stared at the message, hands shaking. Done with what? He reported it again, but without threats or proof, there was nothing the police could pursue. A detective even suggested he change his number, move if necessary. So he did. 2 months later, Eli relocated to another city 3 hours away. New job. New apartment. He thought he'd escaped whatever that was. But one night the following year, Halloween 2024, his sister called. She was laughing, nervous. She'd been helping her son go through his trick-or-treat photos and found something strange. In one of the pictures, taken on her phone, you could see Eli's old apartment building in the background. And in the distance, barely visible under a streetlight, was a figure in black, standing perfectly still. Savannah hadn't noticed it before. When she sent it to Eli, he didn't respond. She tried calling. No answer. 2 days later, she drove to his new place to check on him. His car was outside. His lights were on. But Eli was gone. The apartment door was locked from the inside. Police found no signs of struggle, just his phone, lying on the kitchen counter, still recording. The last thing it captured was the sound of his front door unlocking, even though there was no key in the frame, and a faint, familiar voice saying, "If you didn't have that gun, this night would have ended a lot different for you." Static. The screen distorts slowly as though the audio is warping. Narrator, quietly. The footage ends there. No fingerprints. No forced entry. Just silence. The case remains open. No suspects. No leads. No trace of Eli Turner. But every Halloween since, neighbors on that same street report the same thing. 5 figures, dressed in black, standing perfectly still under the streetlights, until the lights flicker out. Music fades to silence. Title card appears. Case file 22 to 1031, unsolved.